Raven Darkholme. Is there a more interesting name out there? One with more intrigue, one with more mystique? Originally appearing in the Miss Marvel comic series back in 1978, this character of a million faces attributes her true face to the artistic mind of David Cockrum. As soon as acclaimed writer Chris Claremont got a look at the design, the rest was history. And history it has been. The Raven character, or more commonly known as Mystique, is quite possibly one of the most famous and easily recognizable mutants in the Marvel Universe, both comic and cinematic. Granted, the mutant cinematic universe is, let's say, up in the air right now. With her trademark blue skin and red hair always being a requirement in a representation of her, it's hard to deny who we're seeing when she is in her natural form. Mystique has had a long and interesting history that has impacted or affected a vast amount of Marvel's characters, even using her shape-shifting abilities to be some of them. One of her greatest impacts was when serving as an adoptive mother to another famous mutant, Rogue. Mystique tricks Rogue into using her temporary energy and mutant power-absorbing abilities, kind of like a borrow, but give it back in a little bit deal, against Marvel's Avengers and particularly Miss Marvel, which succeeds but goes horribly wrong as Rogue absorbs Miss Marvel's powers permanently. That's right. Did you know that Rogue has most of her powers because she stole them from another person? And that becomes the impetus of her eventually joining Charles Xavier and the X-Men, and that it's basically all Mystique's fault? Yeah, but that's a story for another time, or for the 90s X-Men animated series. On the subject of the animated series, we have another release of the Hasbro line honoring that series with VHS-style boxes and animated cel-shading-style paint apps. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. I'll be posting a new video at least twice a week, if not more. If that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends 6-inch scale X-Men animated series, Marvel's Mystique. Hey everyone, welcome back. Here we have it, the X-Men animated series, Marvel Mystique, that VHS style box that we're seeing coming with these cel-shaded figures. So around here on the back, we've got that rendering, a little bit of information about the shapeshifter Mystique, as we mentioned before, uses her powers to infiltrate, right? Yeah, so she's shown herself as a lot of different characters. Over on the side, we've got the VHS peeking through Marvel's Mystique. It looks like it's a movie. I love the side, the profile of her face. Same thing over here. So very cool. Marvel Legends. I love those little details that they come up with. It is a plastic-free packaging, but they found a creative way to do it. And I say it with a lot of these, I appreciate that it gives us the ability to see this artwork. Looks like that VHS, looks like a comic book cover. And yeah, I know a lot of people like to be able to see the figure, but I kind of like the sacrifice there because we do still get to see someone's art, even if we don't get to see someone's art that we're going to pop open and take a look at. So let's pull out the old cardboard tray as usual. And, oh, a little piece came off. So there we go, empty box. It's everything that's in it, including our buddy the pamphlet. So we're going to put that over here for the collection. Now in here, looks like we've got one accessory pouch, so be on the lookout for that, and then one figure pouch, and that's it for the brown cardboard. So we'll move that to the side. And let's take a quick look here at what we have in our accessory pack for this awesome animated cel-shaded Mystique. Very excited to have this. Oh, we got a wee little baby. Look at that. Oh, how fun. I didn't even look at the list of everything that comes in this. That's exciting. And here we have this weapon, which if you've made it through the entire Black Panther Atuma series, you'll see that this comes in black with the Hatut Zeraze. So definitely this is my first identifiable reuse from a figure. And you know what? Not only that, speaking of the Hatut Zeraze, both weapons. Mystique comes with the exact same weapons as the Marvel Legends recently released Black Panther Hatut Zeraze from the comic books. But that's okay. I mean, still cool weapons. Hey, I am just excited to identify my first reuse from another figure. And we'll take a look at these two wrists. Similar, they're both trigger fingers, right? And you can kind of see, or trigger holding hands, weapon holding hands, and you can see some of the shading right there, the cell shading, or to make it look like it's from the animated series. Which one thing that definitely stands out from that 90s animated series, they were heavy on the shadows and the shading, right? If you've watched it, you know what I mean. If you haven't, definitely check it out. It is such a good series. It is what really helped get me and my brother heavily into X-Men and Marvel. It was a great introduction and just a lot of fun. You learn a lot and you get to see a lot of cool things with the characters. Let's bring the lights down so we can see some of the details of this white hand. So, right, excellent sculpting in there to kind of see the fabric of her glove showing through, but we also have the texture of her hand. And it's just neat to see how the fabric bunching, but also the musculature of the hand can show through. And I really like the shading. I know it's not for everybody, and some people don't really care for it, but I think it's neat. It's given me an opportunity to get a comic book / animated series version of Rogue. And here's our wee little baby. And there we go. All right, look at that. Isn't that fun? Now, very well done, right? I appreciate the paint on this, the paint on the head, the hair, very clean. I like the pacifier and the yellow eyes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, please. Is this supposed to potentially be Nightcrawler? Or am I wrong? Right, because I know she was potentially supposed to be, but they kind of decided not to do it because it was a bit taboo in how that happened. So help me out if I'm looking at this wrong or thinking of this wrong. It's not coming to me. Beyond that, what this is, it almost seems like it doesn't make sense for it to be Nightcrawler, but then it kind of looks like it. Tell me where I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, throw it in the comments, please. I do, like I said, I love learning. We got some shadowing here on the cast red plastic, just really well done. Nothing stands out on it. It looks very comic book, very cartoony, and that is the idea. So I'm going to say masterfully done. And let's check out the lady Mystique herself. I am very excited about this. Even as a kid, with like the Toy Biz, I never got a Mystique. So I am quite excited to finally have one in this style, right? So there have been a lot from like the X-Men movies, but I never really wanted that one. I wanted the animated series, comic book style one, and here we have it. All right, so, and as you saw, it comes with a little bit of a cardboard reinforcement to help protect the joints. Which she still has a bent leg in there. So that's going to take a little bit of maybe heat or effort to clean that up. A little bit looser joint. This one is obviously probably a repaint, but hey, it's new to me. All right, so looking at it side to side, obviously the hair forms a nice little helmet that just hits on the trapezius and prevents that up and down. We're good because we have that little hinge and the ball in there, so she can look down very well. Up, again, the hair creates a hindrance. She can almost slightly look up, but it still could be passed as almost straightforward. But let's see, I'm not optimistic. Oh, but we do. We have full exorcist, dual rotation. There we go. Even with the hair, the head has that mobility that it can do it. Shoulder. No butterfly joint, not surprised, but it could easily have been hidden right here where the white of the costume meets the blue, but with this likely being a repaint, why would they do that? Good rotation. We do not have the bicep tricep, but we do have a single elbow going on here. So all the more indicative that this is a older figure just being reused. And yeah, I know it helps save money. It's already something that exists and somebody like me is going to buy it, but why not just at least find somebody's arm that's like this that has a double elbow and use that instead? There's got to be another plain arm like that, maybe a Dazzler or something like that that has a double elbow. I digress. No forearm rotation. The wrist does rotate, and we have the forward and backward with the nice delicate open hand there and the shading on that, and then same functionality and flexibility over on the other one. Full rotation on that, and this has forward and backwards. Yep, there we go. So in the torso, mid-torso, good rotation there at the lower rib cage. It's not the forward and back, that U shape. It does have a good bit of sway to it as far as back and forward. You can see no hip rotation. This loves to pop right up, right? So it doesn't sit perfectly on that. The little skulls don't quite rest down. There's an opportunity there, right? But it's probably based off an older mold. Flexibility, split, not a thing, right? That's what we're dealing with there. Upper thigh rotation, good. Double knee, but it is, looks like a very older joint, so it's very flexible, but she does have the ability of limbering up for a good run, because of course Mystique runs all the time, right? The weaker stability in the knee does allow for that bending, which is unfortunate. You know, a lot of the newer ones, you don't really see it so loose like that. So it is kind of loose. Both sides are, but that's that older pin style. And we don't have calf rotation, but with the foot, we got the up down, and we got the good old ankle breaker. Same thing on both sides. At least this leg is straighter. This one I'm gonna have to straighten out. So yeah, there we go. Let's take a look at these paint apps, right? So I did jump right into it without really diving into the paint. So the face, great, right? It's Mystique, right? It looks very well done. It is very shiny. I will give it that, but that's okay. She's got the yellowed eyes, the piece right there on the forehead. This is the animated Mystique, right? The hair kind of combed back, but not too oddly done like in some of the movie representations. But it's hard to portray the way that her hair was done and do it right. It translates well in a drawing or a cartoon, but when you try and sculpt it, it's very difficult to do, but I think they did a good job in trying to represent how that is. The body is cast in that blue plastic with the white and the shadowing painted onto it. Or am I saying that backwards? Yeah, cast in the blue plastic because we can see it down in the hole there with white painted on it. And painted pretty well, obviously, right? So if I had difficulty saying for sure, you know, a little bit of wavy lines in certain places, but, you know, that's all right. This lower piece is cast in white. That's what was throwing me off. So the top, blue, bottom, white with blue painted on it, because you can kind of see slight differences there. But they do a really good job of matching these colors, I gotta say. I like the shading, I really do, because it does harken to that animated series. But if you kind of start doing some posing, the shading can be kind of thrown off pretty easily, right? Because we don't really have rotation there, but we do have wrist rotation. These can easily get thrown off a little bit. So it does kind of limit depending on how particular you are in keeping those shadow lines or shading lines together. This just loves to fly up. That is an opportunity, and it would have been cool to see a little bit more detail wash in these skulls, right? To make the at least the eyes and the nose pop out with like a gray or a black, maybe a good little dry brush will always help on that one. But there we go. Yeah, legs decent, and then we've got the shading on the boots, the shadowing, whatever you want to call it, on the boots, and then on down to the foot. And depending on how much you rotate it and break the ankle, it doesn't really lose a whole lot of that line because, you know, that who's going to pose it like that unless she has truly hurt herself. But there we go. Very simple figure. Not a lot going on. Reuse of weapons. No detail painted onto those weapons. I am just particularly happy to have a Mystique to go with the rest of the VHS animated ones that I have picked up and that I will pick up. Oh, let me get her centered. But she does and did stand pretty well on her own. So there we go. Let's get her to maybe look up a little bit. All right. There we have Mystique, and we're going to be right back with some 360 views. Okay, and here is our Marvel's X-Men Animated Series version of Mystique with the shadowing, the VHS box. A lot of reuse from, it seems like, very older, outdated, antiquated figure flexibility. So posing, not the best, right? Not a lot of options there. The elbows do not bend much farther or really beyond where it is right now. Bent leg on it, loose joints, but all in all, I mean, it's a cool figure, right? If you don't have a Mystique like this, pick it up. I think you'll appreciate it. I'm just happy to have it because I've always been a fan, and it's my first animated version. It's my first Mystique ever. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Well, that about does it. Thank you for checking us out and for joining on this collecting journey, as always. Look for new videos at least twice a week, if not more, and be sure to subscribe and click that like button. It would really help us out, and it would honestly mean a lot to me. If you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, thank you for taking the time. And remember, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.